This week's flag is Ethiopia. The East African country has made the news because last week it inaugurated the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, also known as GERD. Whilst less catchy, this acronym is an acronym year 13s are going to have to learn an awful lot about. It is one of the largest dams in Africa, and it is being built on the Ethiopian-Sudanese border of the Blue Nile. Now, the Nile is actually made out of two rivers. The Blue Nile, that starts in the Ethiopian highlands and makes its way down to Khartoum, the capital city of Sudan, where it meets the White Nile that comes to Khartoum from Lake Victoria near Uganda. When these two Niles meet, they become the mighty Nile as we know, and then the Nile makes its way into Egypt, all the way to Alexandria and then the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the reason the dam on the Blue Nile is in the news is because the Blue Nile provides 80% of all the water in Egypt. So whilst the Blue Nile is shorter in length than the White Nile, the Blue Nile provides most of the water. So Ethiopia is often seen as the water tower of Africa. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that Ethiopia has a huge potential for hydroelectric power. They've just built one of the largest dams in Africa. They are generating more than they need in some ways of hydroelectric energy. They're going to become an exporter of hydroelectric energy. That energy is not going to create any CO2. It's really good for the environment. In terms of CO2 emission, it is going to provide electricity to hundreds of millions of Ethiopians around the country and reduce the reliance on wood as a source of energy. Brilliant news all around. But if you're Egypt, the idea that water is being used for hydroelectric means also results in Ethiopia controlling the waterways of the Blue Nile. Ethiopia has, in essence, control to increase or decrease the flow of the Blue Nile depending on how it sees fit. And for a country like Egypt downstream, that is a country that solely lives because of the Nile. Without the Nile, Egypt has nothing. They are absolutely terrified of what could happen if Ethiopia decides to cut the water of the Nile. Now, it's not that the point is not going to do that, isn't the point in some ways. Ethiopia has the control, and Egypt hates it. So it's creating huge geopolitical tensions, and year 13 learned about something called water wars, water conflicts. And there is a big potential that Sudan, Ethiopia, and Egypt are going to have a conflict over who owns the right of the water in the River Nile. There were some treaties signed during the British colonial era, which are completely kind of invalid in international law because of the fact they were signed under colonial rule. But it has raised huge questions as to who owns the Nile, who owns the water, and how can the water be used fairly between three of the largest countries in Africa.